Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Welcome back to the first cage match of 2022. I have a very special guest on the show today, Field Yates from ESPN and the 06010 Fantasy Focus Football Podcast. It's going to be a tough win for me this week. He obviously knows his stuff. Every single week of NFL, there is not many people in the world who are sharper in terms of NFL knowledge and insider info.
Crazy.
So I'm excited to hear what he has to bring to the show today. If you guys are new to this show, it's a little bit different. In a normal head-to-head game on Draftkings, you would essentially just pick your team and the other player would pick their team. But in this cage match, I can't have any overlap. So if Field picks somebody, I can't pick that player for my team. We are going to be drafting these teams using Draftkings salaries. And from that point on, we will see who has the better team. So let's go.
He's a legend.
Let's do it to it. By the way, hey, Smiz, it's like, do you ever watch the show Beat Bobby Flay or no?
No. What is the show Beat Bobby Flay?
Bobby Flay is, right?
No, I know who Bobby Flay is, but I've never seen the Beat Bobby Flay show.
Okay, great show. And this is the fantasy football version of Beat Bobby Flay. The show starts out with two contestants, and they have to use an ingredient as a primary portion of their dish. It's an ingredient chosen by Bobby with judges, usually celebrity chefs or other notable celebrities, as the first two judges. Whoever wins that contest faces off against Beat Bobby Flay in a timed cooking contest, and they choose the dish. So whether your signature dish is ratatouille or chicken parm or whatever, ginger snap cookies, you face off against Bobby Flay, and then blind judges come in. So they don't know who made it. They just judge the two dishes. And this, to me, is like the closest thing I'll ever have to being on Beat Bobby Flay. Beat Smizzle. Fantasy football royalty, especially on the daily fantasy side. I can't wait for this.
I mean, it's exciting. I'm glad that you're here. We are going to be playing for charity. Field has decided that we should play for $100 this week. So I'm going to go over his charity. I'm going to go over the charity that I'm going to be playing for. We are playing for the V Foundation. If Field wins, I will donate $100 to the V Foundation. Great charity, obviously very ESPN linked charity over the years. We all have seen the speech, the ESPYs, and everything else. Fantastic. If you guys want to check it out, go to v.org. If you wanted to donate to there, will be a link down below in the description on YouTube as well if you wanted to make a donation there, or if you wanted to support the charity that we support here, the No Kid Hungry charity, where we are trying to give school lunches and breakfasts to kids who are food insecure across the nation. Like, we play this game of fantasy football, and we play daily fantasy specifically. We play for a lot of money every single week. So if we can take just $5, if everybody donates $5, we'll definitely get to our goal, trying to raise $50,000 as a community. And I'm going to match $10,000 for every $10,000 that you guys put up. So Field has chosen to pick first.
Yes.
And so who do you want to start us off with?
Yeah, so I don't think it's going to come as a major surprise, even though daily fantasy is very different from season-long fantasy. That being said, a player that I believe is the star of season-long fantasy when healthy is Christian McCaffrey, and we are getting a rare Christian McCaffrey discount. As you know, in week one, Christian McCaffrey is priced out at $8,500. Normally, Christian McCaffrey will be pushing for $10,000, or at least the highest paid player on the board, the highest priced player on the board, third amongst running backs this week. And, well, I don't know how Christian McCaffrey is going to hold up over the course of a 17-game season. That's the only reason why he has not been drafted first overall in redraft leagues. We do know that he's healthy right now, going up against a Cleveland Browns team that's whatever. I'm not concerned about the matchup. I rarely am for Christian McCaffrey. So I'm going to start by spending a good chunk of my money on, to me, the best player on the board.
I mean, there's like a meme on our channel that, like, is Christian McCaffrey in or out? If he's in, you should be playing him. And I totally agree that he is a perfect play this week and every week, because DraftKings, full PPR and 100-yard bonuses, he could double bonus for you and get you those extra 6 points. So I'm going to have to chase, and I've got 2 picks coming up here.
Yeah, you do.
I'm going to go with value. I'm going to try and ping a couple of value players. I'm going to start with Wan'Dale Robinson.
You know what? So funny. That was my next pick. I love it.
See, the sniping is a key. Like, this
So
is the thing.
ridiculous.
Like, Wan'Dale's going to be really popular. So is Christian McCaffrey. But now you've taken him off of my plate, and I've taken Wan'Dale off of yours.
Yes, you sure have.
I want as much value as I can get, especially in week one, and there's plenty of it out there. So, like, it's not like there's just one value play this week. So the cage is going to be interesting because we could see some really high scores in week one. But Wan'Dale should be on the field due to all the injuries that they have in this New York Giants offense, and specifically their wide receiver room. And it's easier to score points when you're not holding your helmet on the sideline. A very talented slot receiver. If he can get loose, and DeBall does a great job of getting his guys the ball in space, 3K is just too little. If he gets 6 targets, he's easily going to pay this off. So I'm going to take Wandale. And for my second pick, I'm going to take another value play, but I don't think I need a super duper, cheap value. But I'm going to go with Juju Smith-Schuster going up against Arizona.
Okay.
In games where they score over or have a total of over 50 points, Patrick Mahomes has thrown on average for 319 yards with 2.7 touchdowns per game. Now, Travis Kelce's amazing, and he's probably going to lead the team in terms of target market share, but he's not going to get 317 yards receiving with 2.5 touchdowns field. So some of that has to trickle down towards Juju at 5,200. I love the value there as well. And with you having running back off the board, I'll take 2 of these guys.
Okay, I like it. Well done right there. I did not necessarily have Juju as the next player on my board. Wandale just stuck out like a sore thumb at 3K against the Titans this week, because I think other than Wandale, I think you and I are the healthiest Giants wide receivers. So I'm going to build my wide receiver board out just a little bit here and take a player that I'm surprised he's priced so low, and Michael Pittman Jr. for the Indianapolis Colts, priced at $5,500 this week. One thing that Matt Ryan can still do is deliver the football accurately when he has time. Last year, he was on target with 90% of his throws when he wasn't pressured. Just for some context, second best in the NFL in that category, behind only Joe Burrow, who led the entire NFL in completion percentage. So he's a very accurate player himself. Houston struggles to generate pressure. It is an area that they may be a little bit improved in this year. Last season, it was a major deficiency for them. Pittman at $5,500. We're talking about 65 yards and a touchdown for a payoff here. I like Pittman in this spot.
Yeah, I like Pittman too. It's a good pick. And in terms of daily fantasy, he's going to be he's a great standalone play, and he's definitely a value where he's at, but he's also could be a leverage play in tournaments with a lot of people probably flocking towards JT, right? So everybody's expecting them to win. They're favored by 8.5 points. So if everybody's going to play the running back, playing the wide receiver is not a bad idea.
I'm assuming you're going to go down the JT path at some point. You've got plenty of cash to spend, and if you do, in the event that this game's a little bit tighter than we expect it to be, maybe Michael Pittman ends up paying off, maybe not as much as Jonathan Taylor, but at a reasonable enough value.
That could be an absolute wedge play in this game. Whichever one, they get inside the 5-yard line, you're going to be hoping, if I have JT, you're going to be hoping for one, and I'm going to be praying for the other one.
Correct.
I don't know if I want to fill out my wide receiver room yet. I'm going to take a running back. Of course you do. I'm going to take a running back here. I'm going to go with Joe Mixon.
Like it.
$5 running back. If you haven't watched the top running backs video that we do every week, he checks off all 5 boxes. Projects to get over 20 touches on the week. Is involved in the passing game. Gets a boatload of inside the 5 carries. They play at home, and they are favored against Pittsburgh, a team that they absolutely throttled last year. I think that they won 24-10 and 41-10 last year in their 2 games, Cincinnati against Pittsburgh. And now with the improved offensive line that they have, yes, Joe Burrow is going to benefit from that, but also the running back is probably going to benefit and probably get a little bit deeper into the secondary before first contact. So give me Joe Mixon, a healthy one at 7,100 in an absolute smash spot.
So I might have a little bit of a double hedge here. Maybe I'm putting my eggs in the basket putting them into one basket, and this is just going to be ill-fated. But if you're going to do something, you might as well do something to the max. And as many people who are watching this right now know, you do not get pricing for week 1 you get pricing for week 1 very early on in the preseason, which is why Dameon Pierce is priced at just $4,800 this week, despite the fact that he is now the starting running back for the Houston Texans. And as I mentioned earlier, perhaps this Houston-Indianapolis game stays a bit more competitive than some expect. And I don't think if it stays competitive, it's going to be competitive because the Texans are throwing the football all over the yard. I think it's going to be because, at least for half of the game, they can play ground control football and neutralize that Indianapolis running game enough. So I am protecting myself in 2 ways in the event that you end up taking Jonathan Taylor. So Dameon Pierce slides in as my second running back, $4,800. I am concerned about the lack of a passing game role for him. I don't know. It's not that he can't catch passes. It's that I'm not certain he will catch a ton of passes. Maybe Rex Burkhead ends up being the Texans running back that gets that work. On the other end, Dameon Pierce is an objectively more talented guy at this stage of his career than Rex Burkhead. And if you're Houston, why not hand him the keys?
He absolutely pops, like when you look at him. Obviously, like PFF does their grades based on game tape. He was like the highest graded preseason running back since 2006 or something ridiculous like that. I don't know as much about his college player profile. I'm not trying to put you on the spot either, but like, was he like an excellent pass catcher in college, or is it just a situation where they may use a veteran in long down and distance, in 2-minute drill because of pass blocking possibility?
Well, the funny part about colleges is that sometimes you've got 5-star guys who are backups to other 5-star guys.
Yeah.
And in the case of Dameon Pierce at Florida, it's not that it was necessarily 5-star after 5-star after 5-star, but Florida has recruited forever at a high level. It's just they haven't always put it together on the field like the recruiting rankings suggest that they should. Now, that being said, he never had 1,000 total rushing yards in a season just because they had other guys that were contributing. And if you're Florida in an up year, there might be like 4 games where you're up against, directional state university by 45 at halftime. So you have the opportunity to go ahead and rest your key players. I like Pierce, though. We saw his passing game utilization a little bit in college, not in the preseason so far. So again, I'll point that out as like the missing link. That being said, I love Dameon Pierce's price for this week at the very least, right? Like he's in season long. I keep cautioning people, like, careful with like RB15 for Dameon Pierce. Well, he's priced as like RB35 this week. And that to me is a very appropriate spot.
Yeah, definitely a glaring, not a miss, but like, as you said, the pricing comes out on like August the 1st. And at that point in time, he was not the starting running back. So that leaves this, not a hole, but it leaves opportunity for somebody to come into that spot and for salaries for week 1. So having that definitely does not hurt us in this particular spot. Let's see, where do I want to go here? I don't want to spend up at that position, so I'm going to spend down at that position. I'm going to go with a tight end, which I don't normally do this early. I typically will save this for later, but based on where you have spent money right now, I would rather get my guy, and my guy at tight end right now is Dallas Goedert at 4,500.
I have a feeling,
I like this Eagles offense a lot. Obviously, right? I was higher on Hurts than the field last year. I remain higher on Hurts than the public seems to be, but the sharps and ADP are right there in line with what we think. So like adding AJ Brown to this offense with what they have coming back, Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert locked into a ton of targets since the departure of Zach Ertz last season. 4,500 is just too cheap. I could pay more at tight end for a higher floor, somebody like Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce or even Kyle Pitts at 5,700, but I'm going to take a little bit of a bargain here. Obviously there's super cheap guys if you want to do that, like Irv Smith or Hurst or whomever else, but I'm going to lock in that middle ground at 4,500 because it really allows me to do everything else that I want to do with this lineup with a high target floor, touchdown upside type tight end.
Interesting there. I had a feeling we'd smell that that Detroit/Philadelphia game sooner rather than later. Doesn't that feel like a potential shootout in some way, shape, or form?
It's like third or fourth on the slate in terms of highest total, and it's the highest total in the morning. Well, I'm on the West Coast, so it's the highest total in the 1 p.m. Eastern games, right? Where all of the higher scoring games are later in the day, where most people in daily fantasy are going to load up in tournaments, this being more of a cash game feel, but like KC, Arizona, Green Bay, Minnesota, Vegas against the Chargers. And then, you've got it like 48-49. You've got that Philadelphia, Detroit game and a lot of tasty options.
Yeah, and that's why I'm going to take Devontae Smith next. Thank you very much for that. $5,500 for Devontae Smith. I just love this game in so many ways for daily fantasy, many of which you already outlined right now. A little bit of defense as well. I have a feeling you could be heading for more Eagles or Lions a little bit later on in your lineup. And AJ Brown might end up hurting the season-long value of Devontae Smith, or perhaps he blocks the possibility of Devontae Smith emerging from what he was last year to being like a top 15 wide receiver in season-long fantasy. He also might help him because all of a sudden the attention is being paid to somebody other than Devontae Smith. Last year, the competition for targets amongst wideouts was the likes, as we know, like Jalen Reagor, who's been traded, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside has also been traded, right? It wasn't exactly an inspired group of wideouts besides Devontae Smith last year in Philly. So give me Devontae here at $5,500.
All right, you got him. Devontae is on your team. So far, you got McCaffrey, Pierce, Pittman, Devontae Smith. I love his talent. Exceptional.
He's super talented. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like he's underrated, in fact, by far too many people. I'm going to go a little bit nuts. And again,
why not?
Because I'm going off of what I normally do, but it's dictated by your last pick here because I think that there's one quarterback, and quarterback is one of the last couple of positions that I typically will take in a cage match. But I think that there's one guy, and now that you've taken Smith, I'm going to have to grab Jalen Hurts.
I knew it. Yep, that's all right. I got mine.
There's always more quarterbacks, right? But like for my lineup to work the way that I want my lineup to work, I have to go nab Jalen Hurts in this spot. Obviously we know exactly how good he is. He was the QB1 through like the first 8 or 9 weeks last season. Averages 8.9 rushing points per game on DraftKings, which is absolutely absurd. We're locking in like 9 points with him anytime you roster him before he even throws one pass. And we just talked at length about how much improved the passing targets are, and targets can be an elevator for a quarterback's success and their efficiency, and efficiency, not volume, is what leads to quarterback scoring. So all of that being said, I think he can better that 21.7 fantasy points per game that he averaged last year. I'm going to lock him in at 6,800. I think he should be about 7,500 on a week in, week out basis. Just too cheap.
Yeah, pretty good option there as well. He was the quarterback that just stuck out like no other on the board this week. And, part of the problem in facing off against you is that, again, this is like facing off against Bobby Flay or anybody else that's at the very top of their field. Is that sometimes I'm trying to play the strategy game, and then sometimes I'm like, I have literally no idea what to do next. So I'm just going to pick a player that feels right for me, and a player that could feel right for me. And maybe I'm just taking too much. I've been drinking the Kool-Aid too much over the past week, but I don't even know if he's going to play. So if he doesn't, there would be a million different, there are some potential pivot options. Mm-hmm. So I am contemplating it right now, and I would have to make an adjustment here accordingly. But Rondale Moore is sort of the forgotten man amongst wide receivers in Arizona right now. Not that we don't know who he is. Of course you know who Rondale Moore is, right? He was a second-round pick. He was electric at Purdue. The guy was so fun to watch, and I'm trying to get him actually into my lineup right now. Mm-hmm. Priced at $4K, though. Pretty reasonable option for a guy who he may have 10 air yards all season, and I don't care, right? Rondale Moore can be like either a running back or like Deontay Johnson dollar store version, right? He's super talented, but Deontay Johnson, so much of his production last season and the year before that was balls that traveled negative air yards or close to negative air yards, right? So this game against Kansas City, you probably know the implied total better than I do, but no DeAndre Hopkins. I expect this one to be a shootout. The game is being played at Arizona, and it sounds like there's a pretty good chance Rondale Moore will be available. And daily fantasy, and really fantasy sports in a lot of and always is so number heavy, right?
Yes.
But I do pay attention to some of the rhetoric that is suggested or being used in the media. And, a lot of people have talked about Rondale Moore as a potential breakout. And that includes my buddy Peter Schrager, who works, it's a great job of Good Morning Football. He's one of the 4 co-hosts there, an awesome show. And Peter, very close to Cliff King, talks about this very much. And he had Rondale Moore in his breakout player category recently. He did a list of 10 guys, I think it was. And not all of them were fantasy relevant players. You got some love for Aleem McNeil and such, but Rondale Moore, one that made the list.
So I think, I was really into Rondale Moore as a rookie last year. I thought he was going to make a big difference in that Arizona passing game. And I did not like at all the way that they used him, but they're kind of forced to use him in a different way this year because of the absence of Nuke Hopkins. Him being gone for 6 weeks, we could see a lot of volume going towards Rondale. Obviously Hollywood Brown is there to, in my opinion, be the number 1 target market share guy, but Moore should see more targets and he should see more volume past the line of scrimmage. It would be great if they would actually throw him the ball like a forward pass.
I'd like that a lot. Yeah, I'd like that a lot.
Throw him a forward pass every once in a while.
I don't care about the forward pass. As long as he catches the ball and goes 8 yards with it, I'm okay.
That's true. So also as Field said, I told you Field was sharp. If a player does not play, it's the only way that you can sub a player out of your lineup. So if Moore does not play this weekend, he can sub out for as much salary as he has remaining in that.
I should have confirmed that.
Yeah.
My bad. I should have confirmed that before I just went ahead with it.
No, you can totally sub somebody out. I thought Kyle was coaching you up
Well, he Kyle's done an amazing job in so many ways of life. I don't know if we discussed the ability to replace a player due to injury, though. That's not his fault. That's my fault.
That is one count. Look, we draft these teams on Wednesday. Sometimes stuff happens on Friday. I don't want somebody hung up in a cage match where well, my player's out, so I guess I just lose. So, You can sub any player that is out between now and Sunday morning for whatever you have left in salary at that position, but only the players who are out.
Deal.
Yeah. So I've got a couple of guys left here. There's one that I don't think that you can get. I mean, you could, but
am I that
it would
poor already?
too much. I'm going to go with, I'm just going to go with one of my favorite players. I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson. I like him a lot.
Interesting.
He's literally always open.
Yeah, why do you like Justin Jefferson? Give me any good reason for Justin Jefferson of all people.
I don't know. Maybe he's the best wide receiver in the league. All apologies to Cooper Kupp. Maybe the fact that every time he gets thrown the ball by Kirk Cousins, there is not a defensive back within 5 yards of him on the screen, like ever. Yeah. I know that the price is high, but so's the floor and the ceiling. The possibility for Justin Jefferson in full PPR with bonuses in a game that is one of my preferred shootout or possibly shootouts on the day at 7,800 just kind of fits, and I can get him, right? So usually I go for more balance, especially in cash games, but on a week like week one and the pricing that we have where there's just so much, there's a cornucopia of value, a tsunami of value, if you will. I can afford Justin Jefferson in this lineup. So yeah, I'm going to take the guy who I think is going to average 20 to 25 fantasy points a week on DraftKings. I'm just going to plug him into my lineup along with Jalen Hurts, and we'll see what else I got cooking at running back and flex.
I like that. So next up, I'm going to attack my tight end position, and not because you've already taken care of yours with Dallas Goedert. This also reflective of season-long fantasy. There's like 15 guys who are all priced within about $300 of each other. They're all kind of the same to me in a lot of ways, but I'm going to be chasing targets if I'm chasing anything amongst the tight end. And targets or touchdowns. And in the case of Cole Kmet, it's not touchdowns because he had 0 last year. But I like the price, and it allows me to build out the final 2 key spots in my lineup pretty effectively. And Cole Kmet, this preseason, has shown a natural chemistry with Justin Fields. He's good, by the way. He's like objectively good at football. He was a second-round pick for a reason. The last year of 0 touchdowns was totally an anomaly for Cole Kmet. So it wouldn't surprise me if, other than Darnell Mooney, he leads the Bears in receptions and hopefully touchdowns as well this season. I think could start out well on Sunday. A very, 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 very good San Francisco defense they face, but I'm also convinced that they might have to throw the ball up plenty in the second half. So give me Cole Kmet. Again, it's a tight end, Miz. Like
I'm not against it. I'm not against it.
It's a lesser of 15 evils, basically.
Yeah, that's going to allow you to spend a lot at quarterback and spend for a flex play.
Yeah,
so
or defense. I'm trying to find an $8,000 defense.
you need a 7K defense in this spot.
Yeah.
Because you now have so much money left on the table, I am going to have to grab Jonathan Taylor at this point, just to not get caught out, in the rain. I'm going to take JT against Houston. I think he's averaged, don't fact check me on this one, Phil, but I think he's averaged about 87 DraftKings points in his 4 matchups against Houston the last 2 years.
Might be 88.
Could be. Yeah, it's 80. There's decimal scoring. So like 87.65, I believe. It's a lot, whatever it is. I'm just going to take JT, one of the 2 best players on the board, along with CMC this week. So I'm going to plug him in. I'm not going to put him in my flex. I'm going to put him in the running back. And we'll move on from there. I have 6,500 remaining for a flex play and a DST. So
see, I got lots of money left. I got all the money left over. So I am sitting pretty right now. I'm trying to do a little bit of math if I can. Here's what I'm going to do is I have I'm just have to do a little calculation here. Sorry.
You got 18,000 left, 9K per player, but that includes a defense, which are typically 4K and below.
Yeah, or at maximum 4K, right? So I'm just sitting here. So JT's not off the board in my thing, by the way.
He won't be off the board in your thing. We just have to. It's the honor system draft.
Oh, okay. I was going to say. I was like, wait, that's interesting. So is Justin Jefferson. He's not off the board here. So.
This is a totally different drafting style than anything else. It kind of produces a weird outcome, but we have to kind of force things. It makes us both uncomfortable by the middle to the end if your guy gets sniped and mine gets sniped.
Yeah, no big deal. All right, so I'm just getting my ducks in a row here, making sure I have it all, making sure I've got it all figured out. And hold on, I'm almost there.
Take your time. Talk yourself.
No, I won't take my time. I'm gonna get there in a minute. Okay, beautiful. All right, quarterback time.
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson.
All right.
Yep, comes off the board here, $7,300, which leaves me with 10,700 remaining. I've been talking about it this preseason. Nobody has fantasy points come more easily to him than Lamar Jackson. It's just not even close. And he's got tremendous upside as a rusher. We all know that. I truly already believe he's the best rushing quarterback of all time in NFL history. He's going to get there statistically very soon. He has the most rushing yards in a single season. If you go back and look at the 50 games of Lamar Jackson as a starter, he averages 10.08 points per game just as a runner. He's also led the NFL in passing yards, in passing touchdowns for a single season. Lamar at 7,300, interesting option here. And I've got 10,700 left to spend.
You have two guys legitimately on your team that could double bonus. Lamar could throw for 300 and run for 100.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey could run for 100 and catch for 100. You have two possible double bonus guys. I don't think I have one.
Do you want to make your donation now, or do you want to wait until Tuesday?
I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until Tuesday.
Okay.
I have 6,500 left.
Okay.
I have two decisions to make.
Okay.
And I don't mind talking to you about what they are, but one of them is like, I really like this player. I have a ton of him in season long.
Okay.
But like, I also don't want to have two New York Giants receivers on my team in 1 week.
I wonder why,
Tony's a really good value. He's a really good value. Yeah. But like, and I like him a lot. But like, I went with Wandale. I'm not going to load. I'm not going to go full on Giants onslaught, especially in a cash game. So I'm going to go with something a little bit different. It's not the most optimal for my lineup at this point. Kadarius is the most optimal pick for that spot. But I'm going to go with Jahan Dotson at 3,400 against Jacksonville and hope that he's what I think he can be opposite F1. I don't need all that much. I would love to get 10 to 12 points out of him this week. If he wanders his way into the painted area, I'm assured of that. He doesn't have to do much to pay off this for cash, and he allows me to have everything else and get a defense that I am really into this week. So I'm going to go with Dotson over the more optimal option of Kadarius Toney, just based on my roster.
Okay, so I've got two spots left, like Jahan Dotson there, and this is going to allow me to attack my flex position next. Yeah. And I saved, and you talked about bonuses, right?
Yep.
How about Mr. Austin Eckler? Austin Eckler. So who's good? He's got the chance for multiple, as you said. He's got the chance to be the Christian McCaffrey of this week as well. So I don't really need to justify this for Austin Eckler, right? Like, here's the only thing that I will mention about Austin Eckler that people aren't probably discussing all that frequently specific to this week. But there's a report this morning already from the NFL Network that no J.C. Jackson for the Los Angeles Chargers, which only emboldens my stance that this game could be like a 41-38 shootout, and Austin Eckler awesome in the passing game. Over the past 3 seasons, no running back has more catches, targets, or receiving yards than Austin Eckler. He might come down from those 20 touchdowns he had last year, but I wasn't necessarily expecting this, but I'll take it.
These teams are sick. Like, I'm looking at your team, and like defense, like it matters.
We're
like
in a
it
good
doesn't
spot
really,
here.
really matter. But like, I've got Jefferson and
You'll
Mixon
find out how
and
much
Taylor. You've got Christian McCaffrey and Lamar and Eckler and Pittman. Like, it might take 180 points to win this week. This is absurd.
I'll be happy about that. Yeah, I'm happy about that. So we got one spot left each, huh?
One spot left each. Both weighted for a defense. I'm going to leave some money on the board because I'm not going to spend the 3,100. I don't really feel like I need to. It comes down to, for me at this point, the Dolphins or Washington. I'm going to go with the Commanders. I do think that Trevor Lawrence is going to take a bit of a leap this year in year 2. However, I want a quarterback that's going to drop back. And they're not really going to have a pounding running back. Travis Etienne is a talented running back, but he's not a between the tackles guy, at least not a guy that can do that for 15 to 25 carries a week, which means Jacksonville's going to have to drop back. Washington can get pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and that's what I want. I want a quarterback that's going to drop back a lot against my defense that can get pressure. So give me the Commanders against Jacksonville at home.
Perfect. You left me with the other defense in that game. I was targeting one of those two, so I will fill out with the Jaguars, who I think they actually played better defense than we realized last season. They were just so dramatically overmatched on offense, and the defense was constantly in bad spots. Remember the time the Bills scored 6 points against the Jaguars? 9-6. Josh Allen was the better Josh Allen. And when I say that, I mean Josh Allen, the Jaguars defensive end. Who would have thought that? So I think this defense is fine. They also added a few pieces in free agency. They also added the number 1 overall pick in Trayvon Walker. Like, these are things that are good. So I'm not going to overthink it too much. I didn't want to spend any money on my defense. I accomplished that goal with the Jaguars.
All right. So Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, Damian Pierce, Pittman, Devontae Smith, Moore, Komet, Eckler, and the Jaguars D. My team in the cage: Jalen Hurts, Mixon, Taylor, Robinson, Juju Smith-Schuster, JJ, Justin Jefferson, Dallas Goedert, Jahan Dotson, and the Commanders defense. Leave a reply down below letting me know who you think drafted the better team. And Field, thank you very much for joining me on the cage match this week.
Smiz, it was a total blast. Thank you so much for all that you do and raising awareness for so many great causes and having someone like me on. I hope to do it again at some point. And in the meantime, good luck this weekend, but not too much luck. But good luck in all your season-long leagues as well. And I would, you know what, telling you good luck in DFS, that's like telling Tom Brady good luck, either like in looking handsome or being good at quarterback, because he does both of those at an elite level.
Well, I appreciate all the kind words, Field. Field, thank you, dude. You're awesome. Look out for another video right here.
He's a legend.